Countdown to the governorship and State House of Assembly elections begin right after the presidential and National Assembly election is concluded.
Utmost respect. I will respect invite the President-elect.
Though the skirmishes and election disruptions in some parts of the country on February 23rd is still in contention, the Independent National Electoral Commission insists the governorship election must hold alongside a supplementary election in areas where the presidential and National Assembly election results were cancelled.
INEC believes in the rule of law, and therefore Section 33 of the regulations and guidelines for the conduct of 2019 elections stipulates that where the margin of lead between the two leading candidates is in an election is not in excess of the total number of voters registered in polling units where elections are not held or voided, in line with sections 26 and 53 of the Electoral Act, the returning officer shall decline to make a return until polls have taken place in the affected polling units and the results collated into the relevant forms for declaration and returns. This is the margin of lead principle and shall apply wherever necessary in making returns to all elections to which these regulations and guidelines apply. Therefore, in conformity with the above stated rule, the Commission decided to hold supplementary elections in the affected federal constituencies. For the avoidance of doubt, such elections will be held alongside the governorship and State House of Assembly elections the same time and day. For the avoidance of doubt, ballot papers for the federal constituency elections will be made available for voters in the affected polling units for simultaneous voting. That is, each accredited voter in such areas or units is to collect 3 different ballot papers, and after casting of vote, such person is to drop his or her ballot paper in respective ballot boxes designated for these elections.
In view of the logistical challenges which affected election conduct in some states, an election observer group advocates the need to decentralize the powers of the Independent National Electoral Commission.
As an accredited observer, we are disheartened at the poor level of preparedness shown by the Independent National Electoral Commission to conduct a violent-free election, despite the week-long postponement of the elections to allow for adequate logistic and security readiness. Underage voting is a violation of the Nigerian Constitution, and it is prevalent in some regions of the country, particularly Taraba State. INEC must work to curb this issue as it serves as an indictment on the credibility of the electoral process and ultimately a threat to our democracy. Appropriate authorities should investigate all allegations of violence and cases of violent acts, as well as vandalism and destruction of electoral materials and electorate properties, in accordance with the rule of law, and perpetrators held legally responsible. Party agents must learn to be cordial irrespective of political difference and must desist from inciting electoral violence. Government must apply punitive measures in prosecuting criminals and perpetrators of electoral-based violence. Security agents must do better in protecting lives and properties of the electorate and ensure lives are not lost during electoral process.
INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu insists state resident electoral commissioners must implement corrections learned from the February 23rd federal elections in the March 9 governorship and state assembly elections.
There will be governorship elections in 29 states, and in all the states of the Federation, there will be state assembly elections. And in the Federal Capital Territory, where the area council elections coincide with the general elections, we are also conducting elections into 68 constituencies, made up of 6 area council chairmen and 62 councillors. So we thought that since the resident electoral commissioners were here with the state collation officers for the presidential election, it is important for us to meet and review the experiences of the last election with a view to strengthening our processes towards the successful conduct of the state elections on Saturday, March the 9th. We have gone very far with all the arrangements for the elections. Elections will hold on March the 9th for the election of governors of states as well as members of their state assemblies. So in short, the purpose of this meeting is in keeping with the tradition of the Commission. Once you conduct the national elections, you take stock and review so that processes and procedures are strengthened, learning from the experience of previous elections before we go into the state elections.
Political campaigns heighten as governorship candidates wheel out manifestos to the electorate.
We must do the needful by making sure that we develop this state, by develop the economy of it, which is based there in Adodota. We will take advantage of the 7th largest economy in Africa, which is Lagos State. We will take advantage of West Africa, through Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana, so on and so forth. That way, our children, my brothers and sisters, will get what we call mass. We will make sure that when the money for local government is coming to Ogun State, it goes directly to local government. I say again, it goes directly to local, so that they can solve primary education, primary health, local roads, markets, immediately, so that engineers living in the vicinity will be the one constructing the roads. Nurses living in the vicinity will be the ones running the hospitals with the doctors there. Complete local content for those people in various rural areas of our state.
I'm going to hit the ground running. All the programs I have started, I will just continue with them. And these programs touch the lives of all the citizens of Bauchi State.
The deterioration is so monumental that we have to take a very serious approach in terms of making sure we reverse the fortune of Bauchi.
We in People's Redemption Party have a progressive agenda, and our topical items, what we will prioritize are creating jobs for our youth. We said we'll create a ministry for jobs for our youth.
We need to also address the issue of education, out-of-school children. Bauchi State today has the highest amount of out-of-school children at 1.3 million people out of school. So we need to address that issue.
Out of the 36 states of the Federation, 29 states will participate in the governorship elections, while 7 are now known as off-season states. They will not be participating as the governorship elections has already been conducted in those states, a situation that emanated from the contention of previous election results which were decided by the courts. Maintaining peace and security during and after elections is paramount, so the United States ambassador to Nigeria leads his team to Katsina State. The governor, Aminu Masari, is the host.
The first point is that elections in Katsina matter not just for the people of Katsina. They matter for the whole country of Nigeria, and they matter for every free people in every free nation on the face of the earth. So I want to congratulate all those who are working. I underscore that we never have a candidate in an election outside of the United States. Our candidate is always the people of the place and the process of their own election. So we never take sides. But we do take side with peace. And so my hope is that as the people of your state look forward to participating in this election next week, every single one of them recognizes that security is fundamental not just to freedom but also to prosperity. And the security is not the job of security forces alone, but of every person in the state.
First of all, let me brief the ambassador in case he did not hear or did not know that we ran a very historic campaign in Katsina State. We have 34 local governments. We visited each one of them, and we slept in each senatorial district for 3 days in order to meet opinion leaders, religious leaders, business community, and others. What is historic about this year's campaign which we ran? Throughout the 34 local governments, we never had an incidence of violence.
The ambassador pays a similar visit to the Katsina command of the Nigerian police force.
For us, peaceful elections begin with a pledge not just by the candidates but by all their supporters. A pledge to conduct the campaign peacefully, to vote peacefully, and then the aftermath of the vote peacefully. All three of those are important.
And I want to use this opportunity to assure you, Your Excellency, that we are determined, knowing fully well how important this forthcoming gubernatorial state assembly election is. We are determined to not only sustain the tempo, but also improve on whatever security arrangement we have in place. We guarantee safety and security of all voters, all parties, and indeed every human being living in this state. We are not unaware of the security challenges here and there, but we have made adequate arrangement to nip in the bud any unfortunate eventuality that might crop up during this exercise and indeed after.
March 9, Nigerians again go to the polls. The second time running after the presidential and National Assembly elections. There is early arrival of election materials and personnel in some states, while some others experience delays, leaving the electorate frustrated. Voters' turnout is low. Ad hoc staff protest their unpaid allowances at some RAC centers. A major delay in the movement of voting materials to polling centers in some parts of Lagos. INEC had announced that election will commence at 8 a.m. and end at 2 p.m., but that is not the case in Ojota and Ogudu areas of Lagos.
No vote here. Since morning, we are just carrying our PDC up and down. No vote here. All those man, you say this is what they are calling Nigeria. We want to vote. We have our PDC and we want to vote. We did not vote. 2 o'clock, we want to vote. There is no polling station that is open. Everywhere is shut down. They stole all the whole this year. And we cannot vote. We have been looking for places to vote. We did not vote. We don't know what is wrong. And we don't know what is wrong. We are here since 7 o'clock looking for where to vote.
The presence of security personnel is watertight across the states, but more pronounced is in the crisis-prone states, which include Rivers, Imo, Ogun, Kwara, Akwa Ibom, among others. Election observers move around the polling units.
Area H, Fadeyi, Shomolu, no card reader was used, and people are already voting. So card reader was not used there at all. Again, we found out that the coppers that did not come were complaining that they have not been paid. But as an organization, we want to plead with all the adult staff that they should please come and perform their civic responsibility. Myself and thousands of our members will come out and lead protests if they are not paid.
Every governorship candidate who cast their ballot leave a message of peace.
Everything seems to have gone well peacefully. I believe everyone has had the opportunity to exercise their right to vote for the candidate of their choice, and I've just done mine. So as far as that's concerned, at this polling unit, everything seems to have progressed well.
You can see that there's no violence here. Nobody's been coerced, and that is the way we have kept this community.
Democracy is not something that is served on a platter of gold. You've got to work for it. And when you look at other countries that are enjoying their democracies, it is because some people have said that despite the hurdles, despite the issues, they will overcome and ensure that democracy stays. Even the United States of America is still fighting for its democracy today. And that is the spirit I think Lagosians and Nigerians must take our process. I like to remind people that there was a time in this world that women were not allowed to vote. But you know, with tenacity, with struggle, with insistence, women today can vote. And the same way, at a time, blacks could not vote in developed countries, but today they can vote. They didn't just have it, they worked for it. And it's the same way that I appeal to Lagosians, to Nigerians, that they must not take the exercise of voting at elections as a hobby.
I think this new system is very good because when you vote, you leave so that there will be no high concentration of people in one place.
Voting done, collation begins in most parts of the country. Collation centers pick up pace as results from local government areas trickle in. It takes over 24 hours for some states' results to be announced. Results from some states are prolonged amidst mild drama.
Ask them to move out. Let them leave. All of them should move out.
In Bochi, the collation officer gives an account.
We started collating the results about 11 p.m. on Saturday night, and we had done collating about 6 wards. And about 3 a.m., some hoodlums came and they were shouting that we must announce one of the parties as the leader, and then they were throwing stones. I just managed to escape to one of the houses behind to hide. Later I came back and we hid in the police van, and later when we came out, you know, we wanted to leave. They said we must not leave. We said there was no material to even use for the election because the forms we were supposed to use had been taken away, and then the result taken away. So we had some part of the results. We had the collated result in a laptop. So we now use that to recollate the result and compare it to what the other party agents had, and then we now collated the remaining results, and then we were not allowed to leave. We were surrounded by hoodlums. We were under terrible tension. So for the sake of our lives, you know, I had to announce. In fact, we said we were not going to announce. They should just collect copies of the result. They insisted that we would not leave that place until we announced results. So we had to announce results, give them copies, do everything, and then that was how we escaped with the help of the police.
Do you have a result or there was no result? Do you have a result but you announced a different result or there was no result at all? There are two issues here.
Okay, we have a result.
You have a valid result?
Yes.
Okay, but you were forced to announce a separate result?
No, we announced the same results, but it's like everything was done under Jurex. But actually, we compiled a result from.
So Tafawa Balewa was violent. Then the regeneration of the results, it says regenerate the affected results from duplicate copies, fill new replacement result sheets with the approval of the resident electoral commissioner, and proceed with the collation of the results. That has not been done. That has not been done either. So my own ruling is there is no result for Tafawa Balewa. Thank you very much. Can we move on?
Candidates who lost at the polls reject the election results, contesting the validity of INEC's decision. From the South-South states of Akwa Ibom and Delta, the APC candidates insist the outcome of the governorship election was marred with irregularities.
As the elections were going on, and at the end of counting in each of the polling units across the state, showed clearly that Akwa Ibom people had embraced change. It showed clearly that they wanted the APC, and the results showed that APC won in 26 of the 31 local government areas of the state. From the polling units, all the polling officers and the other ad hoc staff, instead of being taken to the ward centers for the ward collation to take place, they were, cynically, or well, whatever motive they had, they took them rather to the INEC headquarters, the local government councils. And that's where they now did both, supposedly, that's where they supposedly had both the ward collation and the local government collation. This is against the guidelines of INEC, and I would like Mr. Mikey Guinea to explain to our Akwa Ibom people and to the whole country why he chose to make his own guidelines for the elections different from the guidelines that were released by the Independent Electoral Commission.
We made an inductive analysis of the situation, and we called upon INEC to take a decision to suspend further announcement of those results, because the results that were being announced were far in excess of what we know could have happened in the state. The INEC accreditation records from their database corroborates what we are saying, that it was not, the voters did not turn up as much as the votes that have been announced.
Similar scenario plays out in the southeastern states of Abia and Imo, where the APC and APGA governorship candidates in Abia State make a joint statement rejecting the election result.
In view of the fraud, violence, and undemocratic practices that characterize the election, we hereby make the following declarations. We demand the entire election should be cancelled as he failed to meet all the constitutional requirements. B, the reversal of the declaration of Mr. Ihedioha as winner since he failed to meet the constitutional requirement of the 25% of the total vote cast in 2/3 of the local government areas in the state. We state without equivocation that the election failed to meet all known standards in civilized democracies. The substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act by INEC in the conduct of this election makes it imperative for it to be cancelled. This is the way to ensure peace and justice in the state.
The Action Alliance governorship candidate in Imo State, Mr. Uche Nwosu, will rather contest the election results alone.
The result is totally unacceptable, and the proclamation by the returning officer, the Vice Chancellor of Omodike, is totally unacceptable. The reason being that the candidate of PDP, who was declared winner, was not able to make 2/3 of the entire vote by the entire local government in Imo State.
In the northern region, Adamawa State, the APC leadership in the region rejects the result, stating that the exercise was compromised and demands cancellation.
The whole process has been compromised. We saw the signal from the presidential election where a lot of units, candidates were not used, and overvoting was evident even at the state collation center. So in view of these occurrences, particularly in the Demsa local government, most of the votes, proper election did not hold place. They intimidate our supporters and collect anything they want to collect. The same thing with some part of Lamorde. The same thing happened in Guyuk, and the same thing happened in Numa. So this shows you that this system, from the beginning, it has been compromised. So as a party, we reject this result in totality, and we call for cancellation of all these places where candidates were not used and where they were overvoting or extreme violence.
The courts will no doubt be a beehive of activities as a deeper gulf of discord is created among the political stakeholders. INEC declares the winners of the governorship election, with the ruling party clinching most of the states. Six states will return to the polls. They include Adamawa, Bauchi, Benue, Kano, Plateau, and Sokoto states. The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared the elections in these states inconclusive and has fixed March the 23rd for the states to hold its supplementary elections. INEC says elections in river states remain suspended.